How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the Full Speed Friday podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Colin.
And today we're going to be previewing the upcoming 2025 NASCAR Cup Series.
Indeed. A lot of good stuff happening down the pike here.
A lot of good stuff. We had some good driver changes, some schedule changes, some broadcast changes, and
Some track changes, too.
Some track changes, and the loss and then resurgence of one Cup team that we'll get into a little bit.
Indeed.
So yeah, let's just kind of jump right into it. Fresh off of the 24 season, Joey Logano's coming in as a defending champion.
Woo!
Um,
Some of us are happy about it, some of us aren't.
yeah, I mean, I think, obviously, Logano winning isn't, the most popular choice. I wasn't a big fan strictly because of, I don't know. I don't think he, was consistent enough through the season to deserve the championship. However, I agree with what Logano said when he came out and was like, who cares if you're pissed off? I played the game how it was supposed to be played. You know, if the playoffs were a different points ratio, we would have played things different. So I can't even be upset because he literally won the championship as NASCAR kind of intends with this, win and you're in system.
Right. And as a somewhat of a Joey Logano fan, I love his aggressiveness, as we've mentioned before on this podcast.
Yeah.
But even still, I'm kind of like, you know what? I get it. I'll accept it. And I'll just kind of move on. Mm-hmm. And maybe he'll win again in 2025. I don't know. Probably not.
He might. I mean, listen, Logano has been a consistent. I mean, he had 2 championships going into this. So this is his 3rd. And, good for him. Yeah. Again, just because I don't agree with how it happened, he is right. He won it the way that the points system is set up.
Right. He did win it fair and square. He did run really good races in the playoff rounds. So,
exactly. Yeah. To me, it just kind of makes me feel like the regular season doesn't matter. Mm. But that's just me.
Right.
So, yeah, with that being said, there really wasn't a lot of, big driver changes this year. You still have the big 4 at Hendricks with Larson, Chase, Byron, and Bowman. You have Stenhouse staying in the 47 car. This year, though, Colin brought in Ty Dillon for drive number 10, and I think A.J. Allmendinger is going to be full-time this season. You still have Dillon and Kyle Busch at RCR.
My boy, Kyle Busch, Rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe win a race this season.
He might. I mean, he was close last year, I think 2 or 3 times, so I think he's hungry, and now the pressure's not on to win, to keep that streak going, so maybe he will.
Right. The pressure's on to just win, maybe.
Yeah, just win. Just get a win, and you know what? RCR showed last year that their cars have potential.
Yes.
Even if Austin Dillon didn't wreck the guy on the last lap, he still would have been second.
Right.
In a crappy car.
Right.
So RCR has potential. Kyle Busch was second, I think, 3 times. So.
And he still ran good in the top 10 or just under the top 10 all season for the most part.
All of the wrecks was honestly on him, trying to be too aggressive, doing stuff like this. And then other was just what are you doing? New Hampshire when he hit the wall under caution.
Right.
What are you doing?
With the news slick tires, what are you doing?
Yep.
What happened? Why?
So I'm excited to see what RCR does. I'm really excited for Spire this year.
Mm-hmm.
Your boy Carson Hocevar is there. But they also brought in Justin Haley for number 7 with Rodney Childers, Kevin Harvick's old crew chief, which I'm excited to see how that works out. And Michael McDowell coming in, driving the 71 car.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty stacked team, honestly.
Oh,
I'm really excited for it.
Hocevar showed last year that car is fast.
Yes. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And the Haley was really good. And I'm just excited to see what this team is because it's not that team that everybody talks about. But, we obviously gave them praise. And I think that they're going to be in for a lot of top 10s, a couple top 5s, and maybe, just maybe, we'll see a win from probably Michael McDowell is who I would say, or Justin Haley with Rodney Childers giving him some advice and calling shots up in the box.
Yeah, I don't know if Justin Haley would win a race this season, but I definitely think there would be a lot more top 5 finishes.
It would be a strategy. Sure. It would be like an Austin Dillon strategy call.
Yes.
Rodney's we're going to stay out. Everybody else is coming in. We're just going to see what happens.
Yeah.
So, but another person coming in, and he's coming into the Trackhouse Racing, which already had Ross Chastain, already had Daniel Suarez, 2 race winners. Chastain was in the Final 4 a couple of years back. They bring in Shane Van Gisbergen, probably the biggest sensation that has come into NASCAR in the past couple of years. So he's coming in. Strangely enough, he is a rookie. It's going to be weird, but this is his first full-time season.
Yeah.
He just finished his full-time season in the Xfinity Series, which he was pretty successful, even at the Ovals, which surprised me.
But there was also a couple of races last season he ran in the Cup Series, like the Chicago Street Course, for example. And he ran pretty well until he wrecked.
Yeah, I mean, he probably would have won. I think Briscoe took him out or something.
Yeah.
But, he won the first year he ran it, and he probably would have won or came close in this year, or last year. So this year, now he's in a ride. He's in the 88 car, which is pretty cool because the last person to drive that was Dale Jr. Yeah. So, obviously, I think he reached out to Junior, and Junior was like, whatever. So Rick Hendrick giving the 88 to Trackhouse is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Then you have front row bringing in Noah Gragson from the defunct now back Stort, well, I guess it's just Haas, but from the Stort Haas crew that fell apart. Taking the number 4 with him, I don't like that. So we'll see how that goes. But front row also brings back Todd Gilliland and Zane Smith. So I like Todd Gilliland. I think he's underrated. I followed his career for a while. I think Noah Gragson is not going to do good.
No.
He wasn't good at Stort Haas in the 10. I don't think he's going to be good here. So, but Zane Smith, I think, is like a guy that flies under the radar, always floats around that top 15 and runs in the top 10 occasionally too. So
Zane Smith for me is like Carson Osvar, where it's like he just needs that little extra to get the momentum going. And I think maybe this season Zane Smith will see it.
Yeah.
Because I know I've seen it with like the very last part of the season last year. Carson Osvar getting more momentum, and I just wish that kind of carried forward as the season wound up concluding in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, for sure. So here we go, the Haas Factory team. So this is the resurgence of Stort Haas after Tony Stort. I think essentially what happened is Tony Stort didn't want to be a part with it. The team said we're done, and then Gene Haas was like, yeah, one of my board members' sons races, so let's just give him a car. So you got Cole Custer coming back to the 41 Haas Factory team car. I can't stand Cole Custer. He's only racing because his father's on the board. I'm not even apologizing. It's so clear. He's really good in the Xfinity Series, but when he was in the Cup Series, I think he took the car after Kurt Busch. He won one race, and it was like he just dive bombed it underneath the line to pass at the end, which was great. It was a good move. But other than that, he had no success, at all. He's done nothing to impress me. I have not been impressed with him in the Xfinity Series, even though he won a lot. I'm sorry. I just think there's much better drivers than him that deserve a shot in that 41 car. But, nepotism.
Right. I think maybe keep him in the Xfinity Series for maybe like another season or two.
Are you kidding me? He probably would just run the table. They should have just kept Haas in the Xfinity Series because they've been dominant in the Xfinity Series with Cole Custer.
Right.
So.
But who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But who knows? Maybe he'll be really good. Haas F1 team has gotten better in the past couple of years. Maybe now that they only have one car to focus on, they'll have better performances. I don't know. He could be good. Probably not. Speaking of probably good but probably not, RFK Racing. They were so inconsistent with Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher last year. They had highs, they had lows. And now they're bringing in Ryan Preece from Stort Haas. And again, Ryan Preece was heavily recruited by Tony Stewart. So I think that Ryan Preece is going to surprise us this year. I think that Brad Keselowski might win a race. I think Chris Buescher will win 2 to 3 races. And I think Ryan Preece will win a race. I think it'll be Martinsville or Bristol because he's a short track guy. But I think Ryan Preece could, because the RFK Racing team, I kind of joke this is good but probably bad. They have been actually pretty good, especially last year. I feel like at the end of the year, Brad Keselowski really showed he still is that guy from Penske. And Chris Buescher really proved to me he actually is a good driver. So I'm excited to see what they do with the now 3-car team. Nothing on that, I guess. Yeah, you've never been a big RFK.
No, not really. I mean, I guess I kind of agree with what you're saying. But,
yeah, it's one of those things we're gonna have to wait and see what happens.
I would say check back in with me after a couple races, and I'll let you know if my opinion's going to change there. But for now, I think I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah, Rick Ware Racing is still without a main driver. I know that they tapped Tim Brown to drive in the Bowman Gray clash, but I don't know what you're going to do if you don't have. I'm surprised they don't have his son racing, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, who knows?
It's kind of weird entering a season without a driver, especially with it like being so close now. But whatever. Uh, but onto a team that has a set driver lineup, Team Penske. Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney, defending champ Joey Logano all come back. All three of those guys have been pretty good. I say pretty good because Cindric brings down the average. If we got rid of him and put Blaney and Logano, you've got like the past 3 champions, or 3 years, 4 years, whatever they are of champions. Austin Cindric is just, again, he reminds me of a lot of like Noah Gragson. It's like you're not. Why? Why are you here? Like there's somebody else that could be in that car. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like I feel like they haven't recuperated since Keselowski left, and they've just kind of settled with Cindric instead of bringing somebody up from the Xfinity Series.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know they're going to be good though because of Logano and Blaney.
Yeah.
I mean that's always a given that they're going to be good.
I mean, Citrus got a couple top 10 finishes this last season.
Yeah,
but like you're right. Nothing that really stands out from anything that Blaney or Logano have done on a performance aspect.
Right. It becomes a point where like the thing with Hendricks last year, where everybody was winning races. Chase was winning races, obviously Larson and obviously Byron. And it seemed like Bowman wasn't doing anything, and then he won, and then he won Chicago, and then his performance got better, and everybody was like, okay, now I see, because I was like, they got to get rid of Bowman. Yeah, after Chicago, he was finishing top 10s. He was consistent. I think his confidence level rose, which it was really cool to see. So I'm excited to see what. I'm excited to see if Cindric can actually like do what Bowman did and impress and be like, I do deserve to be in this car. Speaking of deserving to be in this car, Wood Brothers Racing, historic racing team, 21 car. I always feel like that car is in front at Daytona every stinking year. I know it's been so good, but Josh Berry slots into this car. Love Josh Berry. I really was hyped when he took over the 4 car. I was excited to see what he was going to do. And then Stuart Haas is like, yeah, deuces. So, again, I was just saying about, I always feel like the 21 cars in the lead at Daytona. I think we're going to see Josh Berry in the lead at Daytona this year. Don't know if you're going to win. Probably not. Could, though.
Could.
But I always know the 21 cars, no matter who's driving that car, they've always been consistent at Daytona. It's like the Daytona car. So, I'm excited for Josh Berry.
Oh, yeah, man. Josh Berry's a pretty good driver.
Josh Berry's a pretty good driver. Now we're going to get into a driver that isn't that good at 2311 Racing. Bubba Wallace, 23, he's back. Again, we're going to get in, they have a new driver, but we're going to get into that. Let's just compare him last year with Tyler Reddick, 45. He was really good last year. Like, I think between last year and the year before, he showed, I didn't think there could be an improvement. There was. He was a consistently the best words I could say is he was just a consistent top 5 runner. I always felt like if the car didn't let him down, he was going to finish in the top 5, top 3. He was just lights out. So I'm excited to see how he does this year. I think, again, I don't know if he can improve. He might. He surprised me going from in last year from the year before. He did improve. So I'm excited to see that. Bubba Wallace, I don't expect to see. He has not improved since he was at Petty. He has not improved at all. He's shown me no growth. His attitude is just terrible. He gets out of the car and they go, what happened? He goes, I don't know, everybody else's fault but mine. I was just out there racing. No, you weren't. You were cutting off Kyle Larson, or you were cutting off Denny Hamlin, your owner.
Right.
So I can't deal with Bubba Wallace. I don't think he should be in this car. I think there are plenty of other drivers that deserve to be in that car, which is why I'm happy that they added a 3rd car after Stuart Haas. They got the charter, bringing in Riley Herbst from the Xfinity Series, who raced for Stuart Haas in the Xfinity Series. So that's pretty cool. They took the charter they got for Stuart Haas and brought up a Stuart Haas guy. So that is our second of 2 rookies this year between Shane and Riley. I think that we're going to have a really good season from Riley Herbst. I hope, because I don't know how he's going to react to the Cup car. It's a much different car. It drives much different. He's been dominant in the Xfinity Series. So let's see how he does in this car. So if he's anywhere with like Tyler Reddick, he's going to be good, and that's going to look bad for Bubba Wallace.
Right.
If you bring in a new driver in his first season, driving this car is better than Bubba Wallace, who's been there for like 3-4 seasons now.
Some of that.
I'm sorry, I don't care who he is or what. Just move on, get somebody else in. There's plenty of other drivers. I know that there's the guy in the trucks for Hendricks is coming up right now, so he might need a couple more years to mature and drive in the Xfinity Series. That's a guy that I would be looking at. But I'm interested to see if Riley Herbst drives a monster car, because he was Monster Energy in the Xfinity Series, and Tyler Reddick's Monster Energy, and I think there's another Monster Energy car. Oh yeah, Ty Gibbs, who we'll get into. So are we going to have 3 Monster Energy cars out there? Because we already have 2 Bass Pro Shop cars.
Do we really need a third one? Do we want a third one?
It's the Monster Energy Cup Series, so they probably do.
Probably do.
But anyway, moving on, we got Joe Gibbs Racing with your favorite driver, Denny Hamlin.
No.
He's back in the 11 FedEx whatever.
Sure.
Christopher Bell, he's back. Mr. I Didn't Ride the Wall.
Mr. I liked him until he did that.
And then you've got the second case of nepotism in this sport, Ty Gibbs.
Oh, my God.
He's back.
But at least Ty Gibbs is a pretty good driver.
I'm going to just leave that there. So
I couldn't even say with a straight face if I wanted to.
No, because I think we can, as much as it pains me to say, and I hate to say it, Denny Hamlin is the best driver of that group.
Yeah.
However, they're bringing in this year my guy from Stewart Haas, Chase Briscoe, taking over the 19 car, which Christopher Bell lovingly spoiled for us way earlier than they wanted it to. So I am so excited that Chase Briscoe's here. He's going to be in a car that Stewart Haas car was terrible, and he won at Darlington. He's going to be really good in this car, as long as they don't give him the cars that explode like they did the Truex. So I'm excited to see what we get from Chase Briscoe. I think that he's probably gonna finish his career at Joe Gibbs, because he's a little older, but he's still young. He literally did like the reverse of Tony Stewart, where he went from Stewart Haas to Joe Gibbs, while Tony Stewart went from Joe Gibbs to Stewart Haas. So I think that's pretty cool. He's kind of following Tony Stewart's path, but reversed. He's at the same team. I just wish they gave him the 20 car. That's all I wish. So I'm excited to see what happens at Joe Gibbs. Denny Hamlin sucks. Then we move over to the Legacy Motor Club, formerly known as Petty. You got John Hunter Nemechek and Eric Jones. I think they're both returning. I think John Hunter Nemechek was there last year. Yeah, he was in the 42.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. I have 0 expectations for this team.
Neither do I. I kind of like John Hunter Nemechek. But, like, he's not a guy that I'll put in my fantasy lineup.
Right. He's not somebody you're going to tap just because. Yeah. And then I know that Jimmy Johnson's going to be running a few races. I assume it's going to be like the Daytona, the Coke 600, but it's not confirmed yet. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. So that kind of, rounds out the teams and the new drivers, returning drivers who are no longer with us. And that guy is Martin Truex Jr. Kind of had a terrible end to his career, but all in all, he had a very solid career.
What, he blew like 5 engines last year or something like that?
That was just in a week.
Yeah.
It felt like he blew an engine every race.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for what it's worth, at front row, he was fantastic. Obviously won the championship there. Won a crap ton of races at Joe Gibbs. Just could not win the big one. No. He just couldn't win the championship. So, all in all, good career. Salute, I'm happy that he went out on his own terms instead of just being fired and people leave. Right. He was like, I'm kind of done. You could see he was done.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that he's going to come back and do. He said he's going to run a couple races with Cole Pern's going to return with him and run those. They haven't announced what team it is. I have a feeling it's going to be 2311. I think they rumored that last year a little bit. Like Denny Hamlin was like, I'll have a spot for you. So we'll see how that works. I didn't think they liked each other. So I know Helio Castroneves is going to be returning for a few races, probably the road courses for Trackhouse. I liked what he did at Watkins Glen. So we'll see how that goes. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you have like we said, the Haas Factory team is now just a single car team with Cole Custer, Mr. Nepotism driving. You had the rebranding of JTG Doherty coming into Hayek, but Brad still remains as team owner, which is good because I think that he kind of led the way of like outside NASCAR people coming in, and it really paved the road for Michael Jordan to come in and Pitbull and all of that. Shout out to Tootsies. 2311 front row and trackhouse, like we talked about, got those charters from Stuart Haas, the three charters that they gave up. And, you know, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Stuart Haas collapsing, as you know. I mean, I was a huge Stuart Haas fan with Harvick going in, but I also liked them before when they had, like, Ryan Newman and Tony Stewart. So it was pretty sad. Like, they went through the rebranding. They put the new logo together. And I thought we're in for a new era with, like, these young drivers with, you know, Barry. And Barry was kind of leading the way. But well, Chase Briscoe was leading the way, but Barry was, like, the new drivers coming in. So I was excited to see where it goes. We'll never get to see where it goes. Rest in power, Stuart Haas Racing. I think Tony Stewart's much happier not being involved. It didn't seem like he was involved the past 2 years. Obviously, he was more concerned about NHRA. He got married. He had a kid. Salute. Happy for you. So I think he's happier not being involved, and Haas is now just going to run a one-car team. Again, I said focusing on one car, they might be good. Because between Haas, they got 2 F1 cars, 1 Cup car, and then I think they have 3 Xfinity cars. So that really is going to cut costs down, allow them to really focus research and manufacturing parts and stuff on just one car and put it all into that. And maybe Cole Custer will win a championship. He won't. So, I think like the biggest news that I found out was that Denny Hamlin, after 2025, FedEx is not going to come back.
Thank God.
So
FedEx could do so much better.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be effective in the 25 season. I've read mixed reports. However, that's pretty big because that's like his main title for his entire career, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, now he's got sports clips because they did like half the races last season. So
yeah, it did feel like they were pushing him out with FedEx out. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to have FedEx on in 25. The reports I said he won't, and then there was reports were like they'll be on for a couple races because the deal leaked over. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ricky Stenhouse lost Kroger as his main sponsor. I think they just got tired of seeing it hit the wall. But they are moving over to RFK, which I think is big. That was another big announcement for Keselowski. It was the announcing of the driver and then Kroger joining, which I think that's going to bring a lot of money and revenue towards RFK.
And there's also Chase Elliott getting the Prime car for a couple of races.
Yes, and I saw
not Prime Energy Drink, Prime Video.
Yeah, Amazon Prime. Watch as much as we'll talk about the broadcasting later, but I really like the car design that Hendrick put out there. It looks so sleek. I kind of figured it would go on Chase Elliott. He's the popular driver, number one face of the. I would have liked to see it on Larson's. But I think Rick Hendrick likes having Hendrick cars because he said every time Kyle Larson wins a race, we sell a lot of cars.
I believe it.
So let's go with that. And I think it's really nice that Todd Gilliland is going to get Love's travel stops. That's been with Front Row Motorsports for a long time. So that's good for that team to have consistent sponsorship, especially with Michael McDowell leaving. So that kind of covers all of the driver changes, team changes. So now we can kind of get into the the schedule because there was a few schedule changes. They moved around some races. They pushed races. Now they have this new NASCAR in-season tournament.
Yeah, and before you get into that, Brian, let's just say for all the season here, Fox Sports is getting 12 races.
Yep.
Prime Video, that's Amazon Prime Video, folks. 5 races. TNT is getting 5 races. And that'll help cover the in-season tournament, which we'll get to in a second here. And then NBC Sports gets the rest, which I think winds up being 14 to finish out the season. So, and they get all the playoff coverage, as per usual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I think is interesting that we have Prime Video and TNT, but I think that's a good lead into this in-season tournament that is branded for the 2025 Cup Series season.
Yeah, and I was doing some research, and it's one of the most confusing formats I think I've seen in a long time. But it, it might bring like some added drama into the middle of the season. It doesn't, for what I can see, it doesn't look like it's going to be like have an effect on the playoffs, which I don't know why it wouldn't. It would make like more sense to have this impact the playoffs because what are you running for?
Another extra $1 million payout.
Ooh,
Yeah,
because Denny Hamlin needs that.
I know, right?
Or, I mean, I can see like the $1 million payout helping, say, like Rick Ware Racing or Front Row, but you know that one of the Hendricks cars or a Joe Gibbs or 2311 is going to win this,
Or Penske,
or even RFK, which I guess the million would help RFK. Who this would really help is Kyle Busch wins this damn thing. RCR gets an extra $1 million.
Yeah.
No,
I think it's the driver that gets the $1 million.
Yeah, but Kyle Busch would put it in.
Of course.
What does Kyle Busch need $1 million for?
Nothing.
Well, all the cars he wrecks.
Right.
But again, that doesn't mean anything. Then, if it's going to the driver, it doesn't mean a thing.
Right.
So, I would, if you're going to do this, I would have liked to see an in-season tournament for just like non-playoff drivers. Give me a shootout between Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, who should be playoffs, and like put them in with like Rick Ware Racing and throw Haas in there because they're booty. And like that $1 million, put that into the car. Put that into next season. Like when you get into the playoffs, you get money next season.
Right. Or better yet, you got 16 drivers that could be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Take the other 16 or however that math works out, because it depends on a race.
Yeah.
Put them in another tournament and try to get them a little bit more money. Gives them something to race for than just
give a wild card tournament.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're consistent, like Carson Hocevar, top 10 consistent, like what the last 10 races of the season, give that man a chance to race in the playoffs. Just a chance.
Right.
Like how they do like the Dash for Cash in the Truck Series, where not everybody's competing, but if you finish ahead of somebody, you get it over them, even if you don't win a race.
Right. Do
that for these guys.
Right.
If there's somebody who's like top 15, while other guys are like 30th, that consistency should be rewarded.
Right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But also, let's talk about this from a business perspective. Let's talk about the races that are involved in this in-season tournament.
Yeah, and
from getting to a bracket standpoint.
And where did you say that they're being broadcasted on exclusively?
So I'll get to that. So the qualifying for this tournament is happening on Prime Video, and those races are specifically Charlotte, Nashville, Michigan, Mexico City, and Pocono in that order.
Big races. Mexico City first appearance.
Right, and then TNT Sports will get the actual elimination rounds tournament, getting down to 2 drivers, and whoever wins. You got Atlanta, Chicago, Sonoma, Dover, and Indianapolis to finish that out.
Again, big races.
Right. So, I mean, from a business perspective, it makes sense why Prime Video and TNT would want these big races, because then there's exclusive home where you can only see these races.
You have to get Amazon Prime to watch these races. Yep. Which, I mean, I guess you could just get a free trial and watch them, but I don't know. Whatever. And again, I see why they might be doing it, kind of, not really, but I just don't think it means anything. Because what's $1 million going to do to Ryan Blaney? What's $1 million? You win more money by being in the playoffs than you do winning this. Which I guess it goes to the team, but like they'll give you a new contract. I don't know. I just don't. There's nothing that would motivate me as a driver, which I'm not, to care. Kyle Larson's probably going to win the damn thing, because that's his most consistent time is those races.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the NBA in-season tournament that they did this past year and the year prior, or just like
that's just so the reason that they could try to have LeBron win something. That's all that is.
Yeah, it's like, but it's also just like why?
Yeah.
Like why?
Yep.
That's kind of what I feel. It's like why? Like why are we wasting our time on the in-season tournament on some of the biggest races of the season?
I don't know. Well, who knows? Maybe it'll be great. Probably not. So,
Well, let's talk about some of these races.
Yeah, let's get into the season. I mean, we're starting out. We're moving the Clash. We're at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's going to be big.
Yep.
So now we have the Clash and we have the All-Star race in North Carolina, which I think is huge.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see how that's going to go. That's February 2nd. That's an 8 p.m. race, which means night race. They have lights. It's going to be awesome.
I love the Clash. I do.
Another race that I love is used to be the Gatorade Duels. I guess it's just the Duels at Daytona on February 13th, which is a Thursday. I think that's when they always do it. So that's going to be like the qualifying, essentially, which is great. You get to see the cars in the packs, and I never liked the Clash. I don't think it matters, really. I think the Duels is really when we get our first look at, like, how the teams are going to look and everything like that, because there's strategy calls. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I always thought the Clash was fun to watch because it was just like it's the first race that you're seeing in the year.
It means something. You get, you actually get put somewhere, unlike the Clash where it's just like, good job, dude. But I think the Clash is going to be fun this year because they're bringing back a track that hasn't been used in umpteen years.
Absolutely.
But yeah, two duels, 60 laps apiece, so you get 120 laps of racing, baby. You get 300 miles and change. So now we get into the big race, Daytona 500, coming in. This year is going to be on February 16th. You can't not anticipate Daytona 500 being a good race.
Right.
I mean,
it's always fun.
It's always fun to watch on lap 195. The first 195 laps, you're like, bah. And then you're like, here we go.
Here we go.
So, 500 miles on, I think, the second biggest track. I think Talladega is still number one. It's the biggest race of the season. It's the first race. Let's go. Yep. I'm excited. William Byron going back to back.
Yep.
That's my prediction. Who's your prediction? Kyle Busch.
Realistically, Kyle Busch. No, just kidding. In a fantasy, Kyle Busch. Yeah. Realistically, I think Byron goes back to back.
I like Byron. I also like Larson. But my wild card, Josh Berry. Again, I said that 21 car. I could see that out front. So we'll see. Then we're moving into Atlanta the following week, and I've always loved Atlanta. I think that, for a race that's 400 miles, it doesn't feel like 400 miles. So
it's a fast-paced track.
It's a fast-paced track, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
The next week really throws me for a loop. Circuit of Americas.
Otherwise known as COTA.
COTA, sorry. That's coming off of Atlanta. I don't know how I feel about that.
It's really weird.
Yeah, and,
But I think it's going to be a challenge that the drivers need right off the bat of the season. Because the season is not going to get much easier, honestly.
Who's going to probably benefit the most is going to be Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah.
He's going to come off of Atlanta either really good or really bad. Well, Daytona and Atlanta. And then he's going to be really comfortable at COTA. And that might set him up the next week where we go to Phoenix.
Yep.
I like Phoenix. I don't like it as the final race of the season, which we'll get into. I kind of like where it fits in here, though.
Yeah, it's a good follow-up off of COTA. Especially this early in the season.
It's a good follow-up, and I like where it's at because I feel like Phoenix is a perfect lead into the next race, which is Las Vegas.
Yep.
That is probably the best lead-in of races I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. So, COTA for comfortivity, Shane Van Gisbergen's my pick. But for Las Vegas, I'm coming out from a wild card here. I'm going Kyle Busch.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, too.
He loves that track. I just think that would be the race for him to come out swinging.
Now, just remember, though, because the round of 8 starts in Las Vegas as well.
Yes.
So
if he does good in Vegas.
He's there and he actually makes it in the playoffs that far, this is all a bunch of
This is hypothetical. There's 2 rounds to get there, but...
Boy.
Yep.
Let's just say it could be Kyle Busch's season. Probably not, but, hey.
You never know. RCR, like we said, showed some potential last season, so it's a toss-up, but I think we could see a good season.
Yeah. That's a pretty good, strong opening 5 races to start off this season.
It gets better because the race after Las Vegas is one of my favorite tracks on the circuit. Should be the final race because I watched Jimmy Johnson win a lot there and Kevin Harvick. Homestead, Miami. I absolutely love Homestead, Miami. It's in March, so it's not like 7,000 degrees, so the cars, I feel, act perfect. I'm excited for Homestead. I'm picking Byron to win Homestead.
I would second that, honestly.
I really am. I said Kyle Busch for Vegas. Kyle Larson can sneak in. Kyle Larson. I think Kyle Larson could also win Phoenix the race before, but Homestead. I just think if we were at Homestead, Miami, William Byron wins the championship. If we're at Homestead, Miami, Joey Logano probably also wins the championship. But all of the drivers that were in the championship probably would have had better races at Homestead. I don't think the racing at Phoenix is good enough for the final race to determine the championship.
No, there's not a lot of variability there.
No.
It just kind of sort of is what it is.
Yep. So,
and as you mentioned, Larson, I would say the next race after Homestead in Miami, I think Larson could win Martinsville because it's an oval track.
yes. However, this is where my crazy prediction comes in, where I think like Ryan Preece could sneak in
I agree
and
with
get
you
that
too.
win in that RFK car.
Potentially Carson Hocevar could also sneak in there too.
I could see that. I think we will know more about what Carson Hocevar and the whole team is about by probably
by Phoenix.
Probably
or
by
Vegas.
Phoenix or Vegas,
Yeah.
and then I'd feel more comfortable with that prediction for Martinsville.
Yeah.
But just as like early season predictions,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think Larson's a good pick.
I mean, folks, just for context, we're recording this on January 11th,
Yeah.
2025.
So this is
we're good like
earliest.
out.
Yeah, this is the earliest predictions. So, but yeah, I agree. I think like in terms of right now, I'm looking at Larson, but like you said, Carson Hocevar could really surprise. He surprised me last year.
Yeah.
You kind of saw it, which was good on you, man.
Yeah, good on me for really not being a racing fan for that long, I guess.
Nope. So then we get into after Martinsville, we're going to Darlington.
This is April, by the way.
Now we're in April. Sorry, I read misreading off the dates. But now we're in April. Now we're at Darlington, and this, my friend, is the prediction of the century. Chase Briscoe in the 19 car wins his first race at Darlington. He did it last year in the 14. He's going to do it again this year in the 19.
Okay. I like this prediction.
I'm really confident in that pick. Not even seeing him drive the car yet. I'm really confident that his first win's going to be in Darlington.
Hey man, maybe I don't see it as clear as you do, but hey, I'll take your word for it.
I just see him winning last year in that car, and it was a lucky win, but he pushed a car that did not deserve to be where it is there. So that's my prediction.
All right.
Then the next week, April 13th, we're going to Bristol.
Mhm.
I'm not even going to pretend to pick somebody to win this race because I don't know. Never know.
Bristol's always been unpredictable.
Kyle Busch, that's my early season prediction.
Works for me.
Just because why not? And then April 27th, we're coming in Talladega. Again, I'm not even going to pretend to make a prediction because Talladega is so unpredictable. But you know what? I could see.
I'm just gonna say Joey Logano just because.
I was literally gonna say I could see a Penske car winning.
Yeah.
So I could see Logano, I could see Blaney. This could be that Cindric race though.
Could be.
It just could be. Never know. Then we get into May 4th, Star Wars Day. We're going to Texas.
Because everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything's bigger in Texas. And this race, I expect, is going to be a big one for one driver in particular. Who do you think?
Why don't you just tell me?
Chase Briscoe.
Okay.
I think Chase Briscoe is going to have a great day at Texas. I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he's going to win. I think he's going to be top 5. He's going to be top 5 all day. I think Carson Hocevar is going to be in the top 10.
Top 10 for sure.
And I'm picking Kyle Larson to win the race.
I was going to say either Larson or Byron you potentially could win.
Yep. And I've only picked Byron once, but don't let that fool you. I think Byron can win a lot of these races.
Yep.
Like the race on May 11th at Kansas.
Yep.
I think Byron could win that.
I was going to say Byron go 2 back to back here.
Yep. Okay. So I like where you're at, and I think that's a good stretch right there. I really like the unpredictability. Let's be real. Darlington's also unpredictable. I love Martinsville. Who knows? Darlington. Who knows? Bristol. Who knows?
Right.
Dega. Who knows? Texas.
I
Kind of. Not really.
Right. I mean, realistically, look at this. These 12 races that are being broadcast by Fox are kind of unpredictable.
Yeah.
With the exception of only like 2 that we've mentioned here.
Right.
Like this person's probably going to win.
Texas and Kansas. I'm like, I'd be like, Kyle Larson, or like William Byron. Basically a Hendricks car or a Gibbs car or a 2311. Only one of them, Tyler Reddick, who I think is going to have a great season.
Yeah.
And
then May 18th,
yes,
the last race that Fox Sports gets for the year is the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro.
I love it. And I was just talking about him. Tyler Reddick wins the All-Star.
I concur with that statement.
I think that he's not the best short track racer, but I think it's going to be all or nothing for Tyler Reddick because nothing matters in this race. Yep. He's just going to send it.
Yep.
Also, could see that happening with Kyle Busch, right? Because who cares?
Yeah, who cares? You're right.
You know, you get $1 million payout, and I think that lines up with the, like, you would get the payout from that, and he could win the $1 million season tournament. Right. So he get a $2 million payout, and I know he's getting into dirt racing with his kid. He could put that into his kid.
Right. And speaking of the in-season tournament, on May 25th, we go to Prime Video for the start of the in-season tournament with the qualifying rounds in Charlotte Motor Speedway, Coca-Cola 600.
Love the Coke 600.
Facts.
Love it.
Do you think Larson's going to try to do that double thing again?
He confirmed it. He's doing it. So I'll be excited to see if Larson can make it from Indy to the Coke 600. He did not, or he did kind of, but he kind of didn't.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't rain in Indianapolis like it did, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. And then my personal favorite track next week, Nashville on June 1st. I love Nashville Super Speedway. I'm a big country music fan.
Yep.
And it's just, I think it's also just a cool track.
Had a great race there last year.
They did.
Kyle Busch thought he was going to do it.
Yeah.
He did not.
He did not.
So, yeah, I mean, early predictions for that. I mean, well, Coca-Cola 600, basically, Kyle Larson, I think is going to.
I would say Larson.
I think he's going to win it.
Yeah.
I
would also say Larson potentially for Nashville, too.
See, Nashville is a super speedway, and I think Logano's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Or Blaine. No, Logano. I'm going to say with Logano.
I would say Logano.
Yeah. I could see Logano, but I could also see like a wild card, like RFK. Like I could see Brad Keselowski, or just somehow, or Chris, Chris Buescher.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Buescher over Brad.
You know, it pays me to say it too. Hamlin's also pretty good on super speedways.
Yeah.
But I'd say Hamlin in the top 10 at least.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say Hamlin because I would save him for the next race on June 8th at Michigan. Mm. That's where I would pick Hamlin.
Yeah, I would say he probably finishes that one, though, in the top 5.
Well, I'd say he finishes the race, too. Which he didn't do a lot of.
Hey, it was poor choice of words. Don't worry about it.
And then, so following up the Michigan race, we're going in to the first time ever NASCAR Cup Series race at Mexico City. Mm-hmm. That, I think, is going to be a great race. I think everybody's expecting Shane Van Gisbergen to win. I'm picking Danny Suarez. I'm picking Tootsies.
Yeah. I was going to say Suarez as well.
I just think that it's the perfect situation for him to win. He's a good driver. He's a good road course racer. We saw it at Sonoma. Mm-hmm. I think that's his time to shine. He's going to get it right there. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that.
And then we finish up these qualifying races and the Prime Video run of races here at Pocono on June 22nd.
God, I love that Pocono race last season. Mm-hmm. I think that it has become one of my favorite tracks to watch, as before it was just like a boring track. I think the new package that they put on the car for these tracks has just made it better. So I'm excited to see who's going to win at Pocono. I'm picking Kyle Busch because that son of a bitch should have won it last season.
I believe it.
He should have won it.
So yeah, I'm gonna say Kyle Busch as well.
Yeah, you could also see any of the thing is you could always just say a Hendricks driver. You could always say a Gibbs driver, right? Yeah. So I'm having fun with these predictions. I'm thinking Kyle Busch gonna have like 8 wins this season.
I mean, 9 out of 10 too. Penske car could also show up and win.
For sure. Yeah. Especially at Pocono, because that's a track like the super speedways and the longer tracks like Pocono really cater to them.
Right. All right, so we move over to TNT for the run on the instant tournament where we actually go through the tournament itself.
And HBO Max, it looks like, according to the website.
Yes, because Warner Bros. Discovery and all that stuff. So on June 28th, we're back in Atlanta.
Yep.
Almost read the wrong race there because I'm reading off a phone here. But yeah, we're back in Atlanta on June 28th. Kyle Busch wins. I don't know. I don't really care.
It's in Georgia. I'm picking the Georgia boy. I'm going Chase Elliott.
Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough now, too. Yeah. And then
I was going to say, on July 6th, one of my favorite races of the season, the Chicago Street Race.
Absolutely.
Would never go watch it in person, but I would definitely watch it on TV all the time.
It's a good time to watch on TV, especially because I think Shane Van Gisbergen's going to win in his first full-time season.
I agree with you there. I think he's going to make a big comeback this season.
Yep, I'm excited. And speaking of excited, I'm not excited about this next change because the week after, on July 13th, we have another road course. We're going to Sonoma. I don't like having back-to-back road courses on the schedule.
Well, it's a street race. I get it.
It's a road course.
Well, yeah,
it's a road. Street's a road. But I love Sonoma. Don't get me wrong. I love Sonoma. I still remember greatly when Tony Stewart banged and beat into the frickin' playoffs. Oh, it was amazing. Sonoma's always got good racing. But I don't like the back-to-back. However, Sonoma, I'm going with the defending winner. I'm going with Danny Suarez here.
I agree.
I think he's going to win. I love him at that. And then we go on July 20th. We're going to Dover.
I wish they switched Sonoma and Dover.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah. The back-to-back, I don't like it. So Dover probably would have been a good race to have there. However, whatever. Crap. You know what? No. Screw Denny Hamlin. I was going to pick him. I'm picking Tyler Reddick. He's going to win Dover.
I was also going to pick Tyler Reddick.
I was thinking Toyota, and I said, no, that guy's good there. And then I said, I don't like him.
Well, actually, I was going to say Martin Truex. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Tyler
he's not
Reddick. There. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Martin Truex blew his engine at Dover last year.
I'm pretty sure he did, too.
So that's great.
But, anyways. And then we finish up the season tournament July 27th in Indianapolis, and that also completes the run on TNT as well.
Yeah. And I love the Brickyard 400. I'm glad they brought it back. I know they had the road course there, which was okay for what it's worth, except when the curbing broke and everybody wrecked that one year, which was great because Byron was in it. Right. Brickyard's always hard to pick because of strategy. I'm going to pick Kyle Larson because he's going to race at Indy in the Indy car. So,
for some reason, Cole Custer came to my mind for that one. I can't tell you why.
Hey,
I hope I'm wrong.
Looking back, if Cole Custer wins this race, you're going to be flying high.
Yep. We can figure that out on July 27th.
And after that,
he's going to blow an engine. First lap.
Tires going to fall off all four of them. Speaking of, there's no easy way to segue into that one. Then we move on. August 3rd, we're in Iowa Speedway. I hate the name of the race, the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol. I shouldn't have to take a breath in your title.
That's a lot. But we're back on NBC Sports, though, for this race.
That's
for the
rest
of the season.
And I don't know. Maybe TNT broadcast would be fantastic. It won't, but it could be. Yeah. Iowa's always hard to predict.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna throw William Byron out there.
I'm just gonna say Kyle Busch and move on to Watkins Glen on August 10th.
Oh, I love Watkins Glen.
Watkins Glen is fun.
Watkins Glen's a fun race. Give me
shout out last year where my favorite driver Kyle Busch, my dad's favorite driver Denny Hamlin wrecked on lap 1.
Yeah, that was an interesting conversation.
That was great. I
don't know. Somebody who's always good at this track. Give me Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
I remember him winning, and Jimmy Johnson pushed him back when he ran a gas. Oh, that was cool. Let me see Chase Elliott win again at Watkins Glen.
Yep. Penultimate race for their regular season, August 16th in Richmond. That should be a good one too.
I like Richmond.
Yeah.
No title, no sponsor title for this one. I think that's because it was the Geico 300 or something.
Like that, yeah.
So it's just NASCAR Cup Series race at Richmond as of the day of recording.
Yeah.
Man, Richmond's tough. Give me Tyler Reddick.
I'm gonna say Blaney for some reason.
I don't like the guy, but I agree with the pick.
Yeah. Neither do I, but I'm like, I could see it happening.
Yep.
And then our regular season finale on August 23rd, Daytona. I don't know. I don't know who could win that one either.
I mean, it depends on. So this race for me is going to depend on who is in right at this current moment because it's the final race for the round of 16. There could be open spots. There usually is like 2 or 3 open spots. Yeah. So it's Daytona. It's unpredictable. Who could get in? Carson Hocevar. Mm-hmm. Why not? Right?
I agree with you.
Just why not? It's Daytona. He might be in a situation where he needs a good position and he just ends up winning a race. Mm-hmm. Maybe he doesn't win the race, but I think this could be the race we see him maybe clinch a spot in the playoffs at least.
I'm just going to say if he hasn't won a race at this point in time, Joey Logano could win Daytona.
I could see that too.
So,
yeah, that checks out. He's usually pretty consistent at Daytona when he isn't wrecked by other people, to be fair. I don't think he's ever wrecked himself on purpose. He's been wrecked by other people, which that's That's Daytona.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the playoffs. Again, all playoffs are all broadcast on NBC Sports, which is awesome. Round of 16 begins with Darlington on August the 31st. And sorry here, I'm seems to be losing my voice a little bit, so I apologize about that. But we're just gonna keep moving on.
We're gonna power through it like Tyler Reddick did at Darlington. Give me him this year.
Yeah,
give me that 45 car.
I agree. I think Tyler Reddick can do that for sure. First race is September, Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Illinois is tough. Illinois is a tough one. It's the second round. Give me Kyle Larson. He's going to get that win and just take the rest of the season or the series off.
I was going to say Byron.
I'm good with that, too.
Yeah.
I think that, you know what? I could see Byron. I could see Larson winning the regular season, so he's pretty good. And then I could see Byron maybe wanting to get that Illinois win. So, yeah, either way. I'm good either way.
Either way, it's Hendrick.
Either way, it's Hendrick. It's a Hendrick car. Give me Bowman, no. Who knows?
Well, you say that, but I was actually going to say on September 13th, Bristol, Bowman could win if he's in the playoffs.
I could see Bowman. I could also I could see this being like the Ryan Preece upset show because
good thinking.
He might not be in the playoffs at this point unless he wins the race I predicted.
Yep.
So why not? What do you have to lose, right?
Nothing.
But playoff people at Bristol are going to just be in protecting themselves before the next round starts.
Yep.
So who knows?
Yep. Speaking of the next round starting, September 21st, we're in New Hampshire.
Kicking off New Hampshire. Last year, we got the first look at the rain tires on that track.
Yep. And Kyle Busch wrecked into the wall and there were caution.
Just Kyle Busch doing Kyle Busch things.
Pretty much. It's interesting, though, that New Hampshire isn't a regular season race. It's only a playoff race this year.
Yeah. I mean, they must have either not had good viewership during the regular season or the racing there is just so good. They're like, this needs to be a playoff race. Either way, I'm here for it. Right. I love this track.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't even know who to go for on that one.
I'm just gonna say Ryan Blaney because I just feel like it's gonna happen.
You know what?
He was pretty strong there last year.
Yeah, I'm really feeling I'm feeling. You know what? Give me Chase Briscoe. Just why not? Because I don't know what that 19 car is going to look like.
Right. Right. Fair enough.
So, and speaking of not knowing what it's going to look like, September 28th, we're going to Kansas. I never know what that track's going to look like.
No, and we're coming back there from our May 11th regular season.
Yep.
You know what? No, that's not a good idea either. So I was going to say Cindric, but then I feel like I'm like really a Penske fan. I'm kind of low-key not.
That's okay. Kyle Busch like 8 times. So,
yeah, I'm going to go with my gut instinct. I think Cindric takes that.
Perfect. I think that's a good track for him, especially if he's in the playoffs, but he's not been doing good. That could be a really good, like, I'm still here, proving my point. Speaking of proving my point, give me Alex Bowman. Give me Bowman for Kansas.
Okay.
Just because.
Why not?
Why not?
We very well could be wrong or right.
Yeah. And I think, I might pull the trigger a little early on it because the next race, October 5th, is the Roval. Mm-hmm. I'm taking Bowman again.
See, I was going to say Bowman for the Roval.
I'm taking Bowman again. And, I don't think it's unrealistic for him to go back-to-back.
Nope.
I also don't think it's unrealistic for him to wreck in both races.
That's true.
So,
what a way to finish out the round of 12 if you wrecked both races.
Hey, at least you were there.
That's true. Can't fault him there.
No.
All right. Moving on as we kind of sort of wrap it up here. Round of 8 begins on October 12th back in Las Vegas. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say Kyle Busch again just because.
Yeah. I'm going to take Kyle Larson.
Good enough for me.
First race at a round of 8, he's probably going to want to take a couple races off.
Yep.
He's going to get that win and get out of there.
Yep.
Especially with the next 2 races. The first race after Las Vegas being on October 19th, Talladega. I'm not even going to pretend to know who's going to win this race. I'm going to
say Carson Hocevar just because
I'm going to take Corey LaJoie.
Wow.
He doesn't even have a ride, so he's not even a good call. No, I mean it's going to be somebody like realistically,
Corey LaJoie.
Recchi Spinout Jr.
Oh.
He's good at super speedways. He's good at super speedways. And you know what? He definitely won't be in the playoffs, but it would be a good win for him.
It would be.
Really would. He'd win it, and immediately got in her car and goes, "That's for you, Danica." Speaking of Danica Patrick, who has nothing to do with this next race, on October 26th, that's going to be at Martinsville.
Yeah, the last race rather of the round.
The last race before the championship. Boy, give me William Byron in this race. He was good in the race last year. He had a bad car, but he did what he had to do, and Christopher Bell cheated.
Much said I don't like it. Give me Christopher Bell.
I could see him wanting to come back with a vengeance and being like, hey, whatever, I won the race. There's no disputing it this time. I could see that.
Yep.
100% with you. Could also see, like...
I also see Penske winning it, honestly.
I could see Bowman winning it. He's done it before.
Yep.
I see Denny Hamlin winning it. He's done it before.
See Kyle Busch, just because.
I could see Kyle Busch hitting the wall under caution, just because.
Yep.
So, speaking of hitting the wall under caution, Denny Hamlin's going to do it. Now we enter the championship race. God, I hate that it's at Phoenix on November 2nd. The winner will be the champion. So, yeah. I mean, who do you go with on that one? Who is basically, this is going to be our pick to win the race and the championship. It's tough. I'm going to go and just like go with my heart. I'm going to go William Byron. I feel like he should have won it last year, but he fell off. And then I don't think he deserved it. The round of 8, I don't think he deserved it. My final 4 is going to probably be very similar to last year. It's going to be Kyle Larson. It's going to be William Byron. It's going to be Tyler Reddick. And then like that 4th one is just tough because you never know. It's going to be like Logano. There was no way I would have put Joey Logano in there. I'm going to take. I'm between Joe Gibbs cars. I'm between Christopher Bell and I'm between Chase Briscoe. But if I have to pick one, he's not going to win it. Denny Hamlin. I just think that last year he was, I don't know. That's my 4. Give me Larson, give me Byron, give me Reddick, give me Hamlin.
All right. I'm going to say for my final 4.
Yeah.
Larson.
Yep.
Briscoe. Give me Logano.
Mm-hmm.
And then give me Christopher Bell.
Okay. Pretty similar, but yeah. We have yeah.
And I'm going to say it's either going to be between Briscoe or Larson.
Ooh. Okay. I like that.
I'll lean more towards Larson slightly, but, again, since we're, 12 or 11 months out from this race,
yeah,
I might as well make the prediction.
It's very safe to pick Kyle Larson, or it's very safe to pick any Joe Gibbs or Hendrick car. So, all right. That's been our 2025 season preview. I can't wait to go back and look at our predictions and see every single one was wrong. Yep. And frickin' Carson Hocevar crashes out and Ricky Spinout Jr. wins the championship.
I can't wait to see just Kyle Busch just out of nowhere just win the championship. It's not going to happen. So I might as well speak it into fruition now since it really doesn't matter.
Mine as well. I definitely think one of the races we predicted him to win, he's going to win. Las Vegas, I think, is a very realistic race.
Yes, I agree.
And those last races where he was like second, third, I think he has a chance to win those. I think he has a chance to win Pocono. Mm-hmm. There's so many races he has a chance to win. It's just him and the team need to position themselves to do it. And if Kyle Busch put the team where it needed to be, the team screwed him, and then vice versa. That's how it went last year.
Right.
With the loose wheels. It's just a mess of a season.
It's a whole mess.
It's a mess of a season, but he was consistent at the end, so that's why I'm predicting a big season for him. So,
hell yeah.
The earliest of predictions. Let's see how it goes, and I'm excited for the Clash, so we can get this NASCAR season going. Yep. So we will return on February 2nd with our Clash review.
Indeed. So, as always, for Full Speed Friday, I'm Colin.
I'm Brian.
And we'll catch you on the next race.